Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting the same toxic relationships? Why you never feel good enough, no matter what you achieve? Why certain people can push your buttons with just a look, while others seem immune to emotional manipulation? Let me tell you something that perhaps no therapist has had the courage to say directly. Until you understand your relationship with your mother, you will remain trapped in the same destructive patterns for the rest of your life. Carl Jung, the revolutionary psychologist who dared to explore the deepest corners of the human psyche, discovered that our first relationship shapes every relationship that follows. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about your actual mother. It's about the mother archetype living in your unconscious mind, directing your choices, controlling your emotions, and sabotaging your growth without you even knowing it. You think you're choosing your partners consciously. You believe you're making independent decisions about your career, your friendships, your life direction. Wake up, because you're not. You're being controlled by an invisible force that was programmed into your psyche before you could even speak. Jung called this the mother complex, and it's running your life whether you acknowledge it or not. This isn't some abstract psychological theory. This is the brutal reality of why you feel suffocated in relationships, or why you can't get close to anyone. It's why you're either desperately seeking approval or rebelliously rejecting everything that looks like authority. It's why you sabotage yourself just when things are going well, or why you accept treatment that you know you don't deserve. The mother complex has two faces, and chances are you're trapped by one of them. The first is the nurturing mother, the archetype of unconditional love and protection. Sounds beautiful, right? But when this complex dominates your unconscious, you become the eternal child, unable to separate, unable to take responsibility for your own life. You're the 30-year-old who still calls mom for every decision, who crumbles without constant reassurance, who seeks partners not for love, but for safety. Then there's the devouring mother, the archetype of possession and control. If this is your unconscious pattern, you live in constant fear of not being good enough. You're the perfectionist who never feels worthy of success, the people pleaser who sacrifices everything for others' approval, the person who attracts controlling partners because that's what feels familiar, even when it's destroying you. But here's the truth that will shatter everything you thought you knew about healing. Most people carry elements of both. You might seek the nurturing mother in your romantic relationships, while simultaneously fearing the devouring mother's criticism. You might rebel against control while secretly craving the safety of being taken care of. This internal contradiction is what keeps you stuck, what makes your relationships feel like battlefields, what makes you feel crazy even when you're trying your best to be healthy. Jung understood something that modern psychology often misses. You can't heal what you don't acknowledge. As long as the mother complex remains unconscious, it will control you. You'll call it fate, bad luck, or just how relationships are. But the truth is more disturbing. You're unconsciously recreating your earliest relationship dynamic over and over again, hoping this time it will be different. This time it will heal the original wound. Your inner critic? That's often your internalized mother's voice, telling you you're not good enough, not worthy enough, not deserving of love. Your relationship patterns? They're your unconscious attempt to either get the love you never received or to prove you don't need anyone, depending on which face of the mother complex dominates your psyche. Your career struggles, your friendship dynamics, your inability to trust yourself. All of it traces back to this first formative relationship that taught you what love looks like, what safety feels like, what you have to do to survive. This is where most people give up, because the next step requires something our culture doesn't teach: the courage to feel. Jung's path to healing isn't about positive thinking or forgetting the past. It's about individuation, the terrifying and liberating process of becoming who you really are instead of who you had to become to survive your childhood. Individuation means facing the shadow of your mother relationship. It means acknowledging that the person who was supposed to protect you might have also wounded you. It means recognizing that your survival strategies, the ones that got you through childhood, are now sabotaging your adult relationships. It means integrating both the loving and the harmful aspects of your early experiences without becoming a victim or a blame thrower. This process will feel like dying because, in a way, it is. The false self you constructed to get love, to avoid abandonment, to survive emotional chaos, that version of you has to dissolve. Jung called this the dark night of the soul, and it's not metaphorical. You will grieve the mother you needed but never had. You will rage at the ways you were shaped without your consent. You will feel the terror of standing on your own without the familiar patterns, even when those patterns were destroying you. But here's what emerges from that dissolution: authentic choice. When you integrate your mother complex, when you bring it from the unconscious into the light of awareness, you stop being controlled by it. You can choose partners based on love, not need. You can build relationships based on growth, not survival. You can trust yourself because you know yourself, including the parts that were shaped by someone else's limitations. The transformation isn't about rejecting your mother or becoming cold and independent. It's about developing your own inner nurturing capacity, your own sense of worth that doesn't depend on external validation. It's about understanding that your mother, whatever her limitations, was operating from her own unhealed wounds, her own mother complex. This understanding doesn't excuse harmful behavior, but it frees you from the prison of believing it was about your worth. Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are, but you can only be who you are by understanding what shaped you. Your mother gave you life twice, once when you were born, and again when you choose to understand her influence and become conscious of it. The second birth is the one that truly sets you free. Nothing and nobody will ever hurt you again, not because you've built walls, but because you've built a center, a core of consciousness that remains unshaken because it's rooted in truth rather than illusion, in integration rather than protection, in self-knowledge rather than self-deception. This is Jung's promise, and it's available to you right now, but only if you have the courage to begin.